All right, so far, please correct me if you think I'm wrong, but so far we had one test or two tests? Two? All right, the first one I think was just basically on chapters 1 and 2. The second one was basically on chapters 3 and 4, correct? Okay. Chapter 5 is all on debugging. If you remember that, we talked about the trace feature, etc. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back here into chapter 6 on page 204, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a real cheap little 10 or 15 minute test review. So I'll tell you the kind of things I'm going to be looking at putting onto your test that you will take tomorrow. Does that make sense? All right. I'm not going to try to, say, oh, well, geez, you didn't say this and you put that on there. No, I'm going to highlight my own book to make sure that indeed anything that I tell you, that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be considering. So when you look on here, you already have on your loan app, this is page 205 it looks like, you already have labels, you already have text boxes, you already have buttons. Would you all agree with that? I'm going to probably, there will be one or more checkboxes, one or more radio buttons, and I might do something with an image. I don't know. All right, where you have another image in there. But you don't have to worry about link buttons or image maps or hyperlinks or file uploads. Everybody get that? Okay. The list server controls, they've got a drop-down list, a list box. You already have the drop-down list in there. The one that's got your percentages and the one that has the number of, the amount of money, I don't remember what it was, I guess the years that you were using. So I don't plan on putting any of that stuff in there. All right. So again, I would say on 205, know how to use checkboxes, radio buttons, and images. All right. If you look on page 208, how to set the focus, the default button, the tab order, that's all fair game. Now, when you set up your form, by default, the tab order is the order in which you put controls onto the form. Does that make sense to everyone? So you might already have the correct tab order set up, but you can also set it up using code as they show on page 209 here, where you can come in and say tab index equal, and you can set it to whatever. All right? I'm going to expect where they've got the focus. All right, that's like an autofocus or a default focus. Okay, it's kind of nice when you run this if your mouse is on the first field that you want it to put something in. What one is that for us? Isn't that where we're putting our money? All right, so if yours isn't already set up like that, it will be after tomorrow. So, again, understand tab index, default focus. All right. The common server controls on the next page. I very well could put something in there that asks you, we might add a little thing on there that asks for comments. And that actually would make sense, wouldn't it? If you were going to fill out a loan application, you might want to let the person know that. For instance, with me, right now I found 2 or 3 houses. I've actually put in an offer on one house that was accepted, but then I didn't like it after they did the inspection on it. Okay, but the point is now my wife has decided that she doesn't want me to buy a house until ours is sold. Okay, which means more apartment living for me. And if you knew how much I couldn't stand living in an apartment, you would think, oh my God. But the point is, if I was going to fill out a loan application online, there might be a thing in there for comments where I might say something like, I cannot buy a new house until my current house is sold. That would actually make sense. All right. So what that has to do with anything is, notice text mode on page 211. Okay, so I might ask you to add a field with a text mode in it. for comments. It's the equivalent of a text area that we have for HTML. Okay? On page 212, or pages 212 and 213, notice what they have there. It also goes to the top, 214. How to use and work with checkboxes and radio buttons. You should know how to do that. Okay? In other words, I may set something up where if this button is checked or this checkbox is checked, maybe you're going to calculate the loan differently. Okay? Maybe you're going to provide, I don't know, a 1%. You know, for instance, I'm not doing this, but let's say I ask if you're a student, a full-time student, and if you are, maybe I give you a 5% discount. Okay? That's probably not what I'm going to do, but that's the idea. So how do you handle that? That's explained in the book on 212 and 213. There's nothing on image and hyperlink controls. I mean, just with the image, you already know that stuff. You know the image URL, you know the alt text and the width and the height that are on 215. You already know how to do that stuff. There's nothing new that's in here. You already know how to do that. File upload, I'm not going to do that. I was going to have you do file upload. We haven't really done anything with it. We're going to use a database. You know, I've said this term to you before, and it should be something that you're very familiar with by now, and that is persistent data. So if you want data to exist after you turn the machine off, it's got to be either put into a database or into a file. All right, but since this book doesn't really get into talking about files, I'm not going to do that. Okay, buttons on pages 218 and 219. We're not going to do anything new with buttons. You might style them, but you're not going to do anything new with them. All right? On 220, they talk about the command event. I can't think of a reason for putting that on your test, so I don't plan on doing that. On 222 in the book, they talk about the list box control. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just telling you the truth. I haven't written the test yet. I might put something in a list box. But I'm not going to put in something stupid. Like I'm not going to put, show me your favorite colors where you can choose like 3. Oh, that'd be just stupid. Why would you want that on a loan application? But if I can think of something that makes sense that could actually go in there, all right, then I might give you a or a list box. You already have the drop-down list, but there may be a list box, okay? So if you want to know how to work with those list box controls, that's on 224, 225, 226, and 227. All right. On 228, they talk about checkbox list and radio button lists. We're not going to work with those. And bullet lists. We're not going to work with those. On 231, I'm going to expect, all right, you're already done a lot of this stuff, but I'm going to expect, like on 231 here, there's virtually nothing on there that you don't get. All right? Realize that if I ask you to put in radio buttons or I ask you to put in checkboxes, all right, that you can pre-fill those in, all right, if you want to do that. Okay? There's no value. This would be the one I'd ask you to fill in. Remember how we did that with the king, queen, and stuff, and it defaulted to king? All right. Once something is checked there, it's always checked. So when you use radio buttons, the idea is one of those must be checked. So if you default one, you don't have to worry about writing a validator. Does that make sense? Otherwise, we'd have to write a required validator. Now we don't. But the idea with checkboxes, as it says here, that's optional data. It might apply to you, it might not apply to you, okay? So for instance, let's just assume, for example, that Rankin had some kind of a scholarship. But to get it, you had to be a female, you had to be, let's just say, of Hispanic origin, and you had to be 40 years old or older, something like that. So I could put in stuff like that here, where you have to check all 3 of them, that kind of an idea. But what I'm telling you is, you don't need any validators for this. I don't think I'm going to add anything to this where you're going to have to do any more validation. All right. There might be, but I offhand, the top of my head, I can't think of anything. All right. The way I do this is I'm literally going to, on a piece of paper, draw out what you have right now. Then on another piece of paper, draw out what I want you to add. You know, and then look at the two of them and see, okay, does this work? Does this work? And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm probably going to use something like the thing on 231 here in your book, or what you see on the screen, kind of as a guide. All right. Now there's more server controls on 239. I don't know if something like a date picker would make a lot of sense in here. Probably not. I can't think of anything that's shown right here. Plus some of the stuff is jQuery stuff, and since we haven't really done much jQuery, all right, I'm not planning on putting any of that in here. No wizard control. So that's it for chapter 6. Everybody hear that? All right. For chapter 7, I would say we've already gone through. You know how to put in unobtrusive validation. You've already put that in. All right. For validators, you know the required field that's on 252 and 253. You know the compare that's on 254 and 255. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but if you have to do any validation, I might ask you to like put in a password and then retype the password. The problem with doing that is the code's all in the book, so I don't see, other than wasting your time a little bit, what that would do. So I'm probably not going to do that. You've done the range validator on 256 and 257. If you look on page 258, I may ask you, this is what I may ask, for a social security number and or a phone number. Okay? So if you look on 258 and 259, that shows you how you can use the regular expression validator. So I might have you add a new field in there that says phone number, all right? Or email or something like that, or both. I don't know. But I would look at the regular expression validator on 258 and 259. Right? You won't have to worry about creating your own regular expressions because I don't want to do that. Right? You don't have that much time to work on this anyway, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. There won't be any custom validators. That said, now turn to 264, please. In some form or other, and I don't know how it's going to be, I'm probably going to have you do a validation summary. Okay? I don't know how. I don't know right now how. But I'm looking at having you do that because it's typically done on forms. So I would say that you're going to have to do something with that. There won't be any validation groups on 266 and 67. Then they show the checkout page. So again, if you look in the book on page 269, you're not going to have this shipping and billing. You won't have that. That doesn't make sense to me. But again, you will need to create something like this. I don't know if I'm going to have you do a validation summary and have text like we have here, or just a validation summary. I don't know. All right. That's it for chapter 7. Nothing on chapter 8. Nothing. Guaranteed. For chapter 9, there's 2 things you have to know. How to create a master page, right? And I guess 3 things. How to take an existing non-content page and turn it into a content page, and how to create a new page, and when you do that, hook it up to a master page. So, I want to show you something because we may or may not have looked at this before. So, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to bring up what we did in chapter 9 yesterday. So I'm going to do an open project solution, and hopefully I can find it. I think I've got it under here. Hopefully this is the right copy, the one I want to show you, but we'll find out. Yes, it is. All right, this has got to be in the site master, right? Right. All right. So if I decide I want to add a new page to this, and I right mouse click, and I choose add, and I choose, all right, notice if I choose new item right here, okay, and I choose web form, and I choose add, okay, that just adds it, all right. So either I'm going to have to come in here and see if there's under this add, oops, not managed, no, I didn't want to open that. But. So either I'm going to have to come in here and choose add and see if there is an option under new item. Well, web form with master page, yeah, maybe that one. All right, and click add. See how it asks me then what master page I'm going to hook it up to? Did you all see that? You will have to create at least one new page. It will not be a complex page, but you will be creating it new. So again, one last time, that means that when you create this, you are going to right mouse click on here, choose add and new item, but rather than choosing web form, you want web form with master page. Because when you do that and you click add, it says what master page do you want to hook it up to? So notice if I do say this one and I click OK, all right, it makes the new page. The key thing it does, did I? It's all right. But the key thing that it's going to end up doing for me is it's going to hook it up to that page. All right, that's fine. I'm not going to save that anyway. So, how to create a master page on 3.12 and 3.13 if you've forgotten. All right. Don't worry about that client mode attribute. I'll probably just tell you to set that to static as we did in our example in class. How to create a content page, you should know that already. And on 3.17 may be the most important page for this chapter, because on 3.17 they tell you both how to add, that's what I should have looked at, how to add a content page to a project and how to convert a non-content page to a content page. All right. Some of the work that you do for this test will be busy work. Sorry, okay? But as you see, we're progressing. And I want you to know too that whether we ever do the project for this lady or we don't, we're going to still go through all the database stuff. And we'll go through a couple chapters, and then we'll take a test. All right? And I don't know if it's even going to be possible for us to keep using the database, make a database for the loan thing or not. We could do that. You could have a list of all people and all their loans, and then we could break it into loan types, etc. We could do all that stuff. I don't know. That's off into the future. How to add content to a page. All right? Remember that we're going to have just that master page. You won't have anything in that content area that's in your header. There'll be nothing in there. And the one that's in your body will probably also be blank, because that's what's going to be filled in with your content pages. So if what I said confuses you at all, go back and look at the Chapter 9 end of chapter exercise that we did as a class. Do you all know, does everybody know that, let's say tomorrow you're working on it, so let's just say this is your test, and you're like, man, I can't remember how we did that in Chapter 9. You can always right mouse click on your icon, and you can start up another session of Visual Studio, and you can bring another one up. All right. The only thing I'm telling you, no joke, but if you do that, don't start adding your code to the wrong project. I've done that. All right. Not hard to do. We're not going to worry really about customizing this. I'm not planning on it. That's all stuff we could do later. All right? And I'm not going to worry about doing that right now. That's it for Chapter 9. Any questions on that? All right. Then jumping into Chapter 10, which we covered yesterday, starting on page 337. There will be something on there. I don't know what. But I may ask you to come in. I may ask you to play with buttons and set a few things up where this is your primary button or whatever. I don't know. So I would know how to use that button class that's discussed on 339. All right. I would also look at the stuff for checkboxes and radio buttons on 340 and 341. The image, if I have you put in an image, then on 342 and 343, I might ask you to round it or something like that. I mean, no, that stuff isn't hard. That's just adding simple classes using Bootstrap. All right? And I'm asking because I don't remember. We didn't do any bootstrapping on our last test, right? I don't believe that we did. Did you add NuGet? Did you add Bootstrap in already? Well, good. Then you've got all that stuff. So you don't have to worry about that. You've got unobtrusive validation, and you've got Bootstrap. That's good. I don't think we have any tables on there right now, so we can forget about the table stuff. The classes for text on 346 and 347, maybe. I'll want you to center something or left or right justify it. All right? The contextual stuff on 348 and 349, again, the thing is, I can do this. I can come in here and have you do all that stuff. But then at the end, if I ask you to put in a theme, it's going to overwrite all of it anyway. All right? So I probably will, it'll probably be very minor, whatever I ask you to do. Either that or you won't do a theme. Okay. All right. The glyphicons, that'll be nothing harder than what we just did today. All right. You saw it about going out to glyphicons.com, type of an idea. All right. No button groups, no button drop downs. No, maybe a list group, okay? And if you notice on page 357, we've got a list group and we've got badges after it. I don't know if it's going to be possible to put in something like that. I might. All right, so that's something you might want to take a look at. We didn't talk about alerts really in any depth or breadth of coverage. But, you know, in fact, that's fine. I don't think we'll need to have any alerts in there. You know, I was thinking we could actually put a thing in there like a help type of thing on your menu. We could put that in, and when you clicked it, it could bring up an alert. You understand what I'm saying? All right. And I don't know if I'll do that or not. Again, I have to sit there, and this is always my barometer. Okay. Where we are now, this is getting more complex. In all the tests you've taken thus far, if I can do them in 10 minutes, you should be able to do them in 4 hours. All right? And I'm not saying I'm that good. It's just that I've done it that many times. Now I've got to do something that's probably going to take me a good half an hour. All right? So I've got to make sure I don't give you too much. I don't want it where it's 4:30 and you're begging me to let you stay till 5. Because I'm not going to. All right? I mean, I'm getting here at 5:45 in the morning. I don't want to stay here till 5 at night. I don't. All right. Thumbnails, we did that today, right? So I might have you do, I don't know, have you do something with thumbnails. Navs, there's not a lot you can do with navs other than, you know, coming in there and setting up a nav and having it inverse or not inverse, but you should at least know how to do that. And that's on 362, 363, 364, and 365, 366, and 367. Because there's a lot of stuff you can do with navs. All right. Then again, like I said, what I'm going to do when I get all done with this is I'm going to look at it and see what I've had you do. Then I'm going to say, would this program be better if I had you load a theme? And if I say yes, then I'll have you load a theme. And if I say no, I won't. The other thing I may do, some of you get done with this stuff early, all right, and you like to stockpile points. So what I might do is I might say, okay, no themes. But if you want to make a copy of your folder and redo it and put a theme in there, I'll give you an extra 10 points or something like that. Okay? So that it would be your call. So themes will not be mandatory probably on the test, but I'll put them in there for extra credit. Okay? And that's the end of the chapter. That really is everything. So I know we did that kind of quickly, Hopefully you don't have any questions. We still have an hour and 20 minutes. So if you had problems getting the stuff today to work, all right? If you have by tomorrow, we even said everything, all the stuff that we've worked on, all right, chapter 10 you could take till Monday, but if you've got everything done by then, I'll pass around a flash drive, or you can put it on your own flash drive and bring it up here, whatever you want to do. Like I said, the way I'm looking at it is all I do is I quickly run your programs. I've got a few things that I look for, and then that's 10 points for you. All right, for each one of those that you complete. Any questions? So I'm planning on, as soon as you come in here tomorrow, I will ask, are there any questions? You know it's open book, you know it's open notes, you know you can use the internet. All right? We may, I'm not saying this for sure, but we may even get to the point, we'll see with the database stuff and how that goes. You know, I might set it up where you can work with another person. All right? Even on your tests. The problem with that is, you know, then it's like, well, we two are friends, you know, and I don't want to work with him, I don't want to work with her. And then it gets to be a real pain. And I will not allow more than 2 people to work together. Because in a test situation, it doesn't work. All right, so we'll see how that works, or if that even happens. All right, that means that the test will be tomorrow. Friday, you can plan on being a lot of review on databases. We'll go over Chapter 12. We'll also probably go over Chapter 13. Chapter 12 is fairly short. It's a database primer. And then we'll get right into how you use databases with this stuff into Chapter 13. All right? Okay. That's all I got.